How do we make planning events easier, more enjoyable, better for customers, planners, colleagues, everyone? We do it together. Introducing the Event Experience Guide, our newest addition to Together by Hyatt. One place to let planners do what they do best. One place to let event teams tell their story, reduce friction, and deliver an exceptional event experience. How do we do this for Hyatt brands and hotels without compromise? We do it together. The Hyatt Event Experience Guide.
Welcome to the International Luxury Hotel Association's webinar series, where over 500,000 hotel leaders and brands worldwide connect. For 15 years, we brought the industry together and are excited to host two Inspire conferences this year, Prague in November and Resorts World in Las Vegas in December. You can find out more at ilha.org. My name is Sharon Hershowitz. I'm Head of Media and Communications for the International Luxury Hotel Association. And today we're giving you a rare behind-the-scenes look at how Hyatt Hotels is transformed the sales and planning experience for meeting and event planners, powered by deep collaboration with Tambourine. So let's dive into what it took to bring about this new tool, the Hyatt Event Experience Guide. To introduce our two speakers today, Steve Enselin, Senior Vice President of Events at Hyatt Hotels Corporation, and Jeff Spazio, Executive Vice President of Global Hotel Brands at Tambourine. It's good to have you with us.
Thanks for including me.
So Steve, if we can start with you, you can talk us through some of the challenges or customer pain points that led you to pursue a new tool for meetings and events. Maybe just talk through the Event Experience Guide itself.
Sure. So again, I think the pain points are our world changed dramatically, right? We lost a number of seasoned planners, and we end up with a lot of people planning events that don't have meeting planner in their title anymore. The business after COVID came back, and it was smaller and it was more short term. And we really started to think about how much pressure was on the event planners, and started to rethink how we could make it easier for them to organize and plan an event, and started thinking about our banquet menus. And I was kind of embarrassed. I've been doing my job a long time, and we never really modified. All we did was send out banquet menus that really is just one small piece of what a planner is responsible for. So what we wanted to do was provide a more comprehensive tool. And we started to look around at who could help us with this, and there really was no one else doing anything other than a real banquet, a traditional banquet menu. So we went in search of a partner, and we interviewed 5 or 6 different companies, and Tambourine really was the one that stepped forward and shared the same vision with us. So what the Event Experience Guide is a very visual tool that really walks the planner through all of the key areas that they need to think about as they plan an event. So gives an overview of the hotel, what's in the area, information about guest rooms, suites, our Together by Hyatt philosophy, which the Event Experience Guide is part of. Gives all that great intel. Also gives all the information about food and beverage. But then we start to talk about a number of different things that are available and it could be important to them. Things like the technology that they'll use, well-being and how they can bring it to life, sustainability, the team of experts they'll be working with, so frequently asked questions. So really the driving force was to make something that helps them plan the entire experience, not just food and beverage.
Fantastic. And how does the Event Experience Guide fit into your larger Together by Hyatt event philosophy?
Yeah, our event philosophy, we really talk about helping planners and guests be more. And this falls under our Be More Efficient platform, our area that we focus on, the tools that we provide and how it makes them more efficient and they can do their job. The Event Experience Guide is available to them 24/7. So if they're on an airplane and they're starting to think about, oh, I wonder how big the loading dock is, well, they can go directly to the Event Experience Guide, answer that question, and be more efficient. you don't have to wait for a response from an email to answer 70, 80, 90% of the questions that they're going to have. So we really think that, that pillar of Together by Hyatt, be more efficient, is really well represented by the event experience guide.
Now you're really streamlining the process. Jeff, I'm interested to hear from your perspective at Tambourine. What stood out as the biggest opportunity to improve the sales and planning experience?
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. Thanks for having me. Steve mentioned it. Hyatt has a very specific thought and approach to meetings and events. And, we felt industry-wide that there was a lack of centralized, really visually appealing place to go for planners to get the information that they need and be able to plan the event more seamlessly and efficiently. So Steve mentioned that there was tools like menus that they had looked at before, but we really wanted to take this to the next level. We wanted to build something that for the industry that we don't think really existed, to allow planners to see all of the amazing experiences that you can have at Hyatt hotels with their meetings and events. So, and we saw an opportunity to give planners that digital ecosystem, a place where they can go. And we think modern planners, and even Steve mentioned it, non-professional planners, any planner, to go and digitally get the information that we need. So, there was a lot of opportunities to improve on the experience, and we were thrilled to get the opportunity to do so.
Sounds incredible. And what made this a compelling project for your Global Hotel Brands division to take on?
Yeah, Global Hotel Brands is it exists really to build and solve custom problems and challenges or opportunities that larger chains or brands, enterprises, see in the marketplace. So, Hyatt having just this tremendous commitment to their meetings and events platform, their tools, how they really care for the planner. We felt really great to partner with somebody that had that vision, had that foresight. So in this world of, we just want to listen. What are the challenges? And then as a creative agency and a technology company, we have the ability to, really build beautiful things, but also convert our tech in a way that marries with custom problems. We knew that this would have a tangible impact, not just on the planner, but also on the hotelier. We wanted to make sure we gave Hyatt and their sales teams an easy way to utilize this tool to better serve their customer.
And I know that you built the tool together. So maybe both of you can talk about how the collaboration got started. How did you come together on this initiative?
Maybe I'll start, Jeff. And again, as we started thinking about, as you mentioned, the pain points from the planners, I gathered a group of sales and events leaders in our company around the globe. And I said, start with a blank piece of paper. Don't think about banquet menus. Look at some of the most compelling, creative websites. Don't just think about, hotel purchases. Think about how you might buy a new car, how you might plan to redecorate your house. Find things that you think were visually compelling and provided you the information. And so that group of people came together and shared all of the findings that they had. And I would guess, Sharon, that they probably had, 30, 40 different sites that they looked at. And from there, I have an incredibly talented woman on my team, Kelly Taboja. Kelly kind of took the best of that. And that's what we used as our RFP to the different companies. We said, this is what we're dreaming. We're dreaming of something that could give our planners this kind of inspiration and information. Tell us how we could work together. Frankly, most of them just came back and gave us, again, a prettier looking banquet menu. But what Tambourine did is they came back with a framework on how we could talk about different parts of the experience for the planner. And that framework really became the way we built the event experience guide.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. And, from our perspective, I felt early in the process with Kelly, Steve, and team, this was a group of folks that were going to be collaborative. We were not. It was really going to be doing it in partnership, and that was important to us. This wasn't just a transaction that we were listening. They were listening, and it can't say enough on how deeply collaborative the event experience guide and building it from scratch has been.
And Jeff, again, we got the initial ideas from our people that sell and service, and you helped us. You built that wireframe that we could then go and show to planners, and that's exactly what we did. So we tried to use, empathetic listening, both to, our customers and our colleagues, to really understand what the need was. And again, I would tell you that we continue to iterate on it, and it's not like we worked on it and finished it. I mean, there's a great enhancement that Jeff and team just introduced to our leaders at our recent sales conference, where now it's easier for us to just send the very specific areas of the event experience guide that a planner would need. So if it's a group that's only there for 2 days and they don't have evening functions, we don't show them anything that has anything to do with evening functions, to simplify and make it easier and more relevant to them.
And Steve, how did you gather that feedback from your team and planners to shape the content and the structure of the guide?
Yeah, first thing that I did is I gathered a group of super creative people. I went to people that I know were creative and had that creative gene. And again, I had a webinar call with them and said, look, this is my dream. I want to build something that's much better. And I want you all to go and do research and find out what you would be inspired by and how you'd like to sell going forward. And that's the work that I talked about. Took that back, narrowed it down, put it out to Jeff and other companies to RFP. And then as they built, we just kept looking at it and refining it and refining it and refining it. And when we got to a point, I'd say probably a 0.5 version of it, that's when we called customers that we know that do business with us a lot and said, what are we missing? What else would you want? What other information would you like to have?
Yeah, Sharon, let me just follow up on one thing Steve said earlier that I do think is important. Is the event experience guide is a perpetual upgrade, right? It is not a piece of software that we build and it stays static, and it will continue to evolve as technology evolves, as planners and the way they plan, what's important to them evolves. So, when we talk about enhancements or just the continuation of evolving the guide, that's also something that's really important to Hyatt and really important to us.
Yeah, and Jeff, just the simple thing, you go back to the olden days when you'd give a customer a banquet menu and then you would change the menu, and customers are ordering things off of menus that aren't available anymore. And so now the hotels have the ability to consistently update it. So every time a customer looks at it, they have the most current menus and information.
The beauty of digital and real time and the ability to just make a change digitally makes all the difference.
Yeah, that's incredible to be able to be so responsive with everything changing so fast. And I'm sure that your teams are very grateful for that as well. So Jeff, what were some of the key considerations from a tech and UX perspective when designing the guide?
Yeah, from a tech and user experience side, there's quite a bit. I mean, first, Hyatt's a big brand, right? Or a big global chain. So we had 20 plus brands, that we needed to represent and consider when designing the guide. We wanted to make sure that we feel like this is a real differentiator. We wanted to make sure that we represented each one of those brands, their brand promise, what they're conveying to the customer, and whether it's a large resort or a boutique hotel or a luxury park. Every brand's got a little different promise. So we needed to make sure that from a user experience perspective, we made it consistent, but we celebrated the brands, which was really important. And then we wanted to make sure that we integrated into Steve's team and their workflows, right? We certainly didn't want to displace any type of workflow, but we wanted to be additive. We needed to collaborate to figure it out, early how we were going to work together from a tech standpoint to deliver. And then, lastly, we wanted to make sure that it was really flexible for the properties. when we talk about the technology. We needed to make sure that the back end was really easy. Our CEO likes to liken our company to Apple and make things intuitive, make it easy. That's one of the things that we're always striving to do. It's not perfect, but we feel like with the event experience guide and our technology, we're able to make it as intuitive for the user as we possibly could.
And talking about it being intuitive and responsive, how did you strike the right balance between creating a scalable solution and allowing for a property level customization? Maybe both of you can sort of weigh in on that.
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, it really does. We talk about balancing scale and customization. It does really start with the back end, the platform, and our platform is custom, and we can build on it in a way that really is unlimited. So with Hyatt had, Steve mentioned, Together by Hyatt and some of their core competencies. They have, a philosophy that we wanted to ensure was consistent across the entire scale of the guide from a Hyatt global perspective, but then we needed to make it really customizable for the property to showcase what they needed to showcase. I talked about brands in the last question, but brand's really important. We wanted and needed to make sure that the brands shine through. We talk about how to create scale. We also needed to make it really, really easy. We needed to make it easy for them to upload menus. We have a shared digital asset manager, or DAM, that is across all products, that is a central bank where the Hyatt employees or the sales and events professionals know today how to go to that DAM for other products. We integrated it into our product and made it easy for them to go grab images, capacity charts, the things that they need to get out in front of customers. So, and then when we build modularly in a way that we can add on, right? And so when we talk about the perpetual nature of the guide, we needed to build a backend infrastructure that could continually grow on top of it and continue to scale. So we really feel strongly about the ability to be custom and scalable. So I think we achieved that.
Well said, Jeff. And Sharon, I think, for us, as we started working with them, we said, these are areas of the event experience guide that needs to be the same, regardless of which Hyatt brand you are. And we were able to, populate that with the right messaging. So as we think about things like our technology tools, and we think about our, food thoughtfully sourced, carefully served, our food philosophy, and we think about, our goals as a corporation as it relates to sustainability, we were able to highlight those sections and populate it so that it was the same all the way across. But important things like creativity in food and beverage, the hotels have a blank slate they can, work with to put their products in. And, again, that was one of the key areas that we went back and forth on how we format it so that it looks good on the screen and that the hotels can put enough information in it. So, for us, the balance is perfect. And as I said, we have the ability, if we change something, we can change it at the corporate level and push it to every single hotel. So if we make new additions to Together by Hyatt, we have a new feature that we're going to talk about. We can seamlessly add it to every single events guide across the world, actually.
That's incredible. And let's talk about the pilot phase. Were there any unexpected hurdles or breakthrough moments? I'm sure you've got some stories to tell.
There were lots of hurdles, and again, it almost felt like we were the same company, right? That we had the same goal. I thought we took a really smart approach. We started small and did it in a handful of different hotels, different brands here in the United States. We then rolled it out the rest of the way in the United States. Then we went to Asia Pacific, and then we went to EMEA, so that we made sure that we didn't overwhelm our team as we were getting the training. We were probably making updates every week, based on the feedback from the beta. And then as we got, we did waves in the United States and Canada. So as we got more feedback, we kept making more changes. And so by the time we got to, the other regions of the world, language is all worked out, currency was all worked out, the changes were all laid out. So I don't know that there are any huge hiccups or hurdles that we ran into. Can you think of any, Jeff?
Not really in the build. I think anytime that you're rolling out software to as many users, right, as we have in this, even in the beta phase, and certainly we have now across the globe, there's different levels of technology expertise, right? So I think where we really needed to put a lot of time and energy, and we dedicated human resources towards it, is training. Steve's got a great team on the training side, but we felt like we needed to evolve with Hyatt to learn how to train, right? At this moment in time, we needed to train in one way and continue the evolution and refinement of how we train. So that's I don't know if it's a huge hurdle, but it's just it's a challenge when there's multiple expertises at the user level from technology. So
At the property level, I mean, for
Yeah.
us, it was complete, the total hotel needed to be involved, right? So you needed the chef involved, you need the director of engineering to talk about your sustainability practices. You need the sales team to talk about what you need. You had to have the entire team, write bios about themselves so the customers would know who they were working with. So for us, it was a full hotel collab in addition to a partner collaboration.
And can you tell us a little bit more, being a global brand, what were the biggest challenges in rolling this out across regions and teams? I know you've spoken a little bit about having to reach sort of from engineering to the culinary department, but maybe you can share a little bit more about this.
Yeah, it really required dedication at the property level. This was, again, when in the old days, when you'd write a banquet menu, the chef and the director of events would get together, put it together and send it out, and everyone would work on it. But this one needed a lot more support. It needed, marketing support. It needed sales support. It needed everyone in a leadership position to buy into it. So we did a number of webinars, and we took a step-by-step approach in every single region. One call first to introduce the entire leadership team to what this new tool would be, and then who'd be involved in the creation. We then moved more to the people that were doing the creation. We taught them about the back end. We then brought in all the culinary and food and beverage experts and taught them about what their role in this would be. We brought in another section with marketing to talk about that digital asset tool that Jeff was talking about with all of our photos that were there. So it was a multi-week process. And then the teams had, a deadline to create their content. And then we had an oversight team that went through and reviewed it to say, that picture's out of focus. You've got typos in here. You've left this section empty. So I think it was just, a big change like this took a lot of effort and just took a lot of time. Truthfully, I had two people that was 70% of their job for a 6-month period of time.
And focusing on training, which is so important, and the webinars. How did you get buy-in across the organization? From leadership to on-property teams?
Yeah, the key thing was showing it to all of our senior leaders, that supervise the hotels, our senior vice presidents of operation, on a global basis, and they could clearly see the difference between what we were doing currently and what we wanted to offer. So they bought in completely. Then bringing the general managers at each hotel onto the call, and then they could look at it and see that it was different. The buy-in was pretty quick. What they had versus what they were going to get, night and day. So they were all very, very excited to move forward with it. And again, a lot of follow-up. People have the best intentions, but they've got really busy jobs at the hotel level. So our team just had to keep after, staying on top of it. We recorded every one of the webinars so that there are resource guides. We created ask your questions, to send them into a mailbox. Somebody will come back with it. Jeff and team created a great training library that our teams can go to. We had some meetings where we brought people together to just exclusively work on their event experience guide. And two folks from Tambourine were right there working with people and helping them put it in. So it took it took a village to bring this to life in every single hotel.
So the response has been good so far?
Yeah, really good. The teams love it. The planners love it. We've already built on it. We started this for, professional meeting planners, and that was our first step. And we said, hey, this works really well. Let's expand now and let's create a different one for brides and grooms, couples that are getting married. And this one is like amazing that how personal it can get for that bride and that groom, and really focus in on them and what their dream is and what they want to accomplish.
Fantastic. And Jeff, from a tech partner's perspective, what does successful adoption look like in a project like this?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we obviously want the hotel teams to use the tool, and get really high engagement from it. Not just think of it as something that I think our goal is to not just have it as a nice tool to have, but something that's part of their day to day, something that they is for Hyatt, for their customers, where they can really go out and make a difference with their planners. So that's number one. Obviously, positive feedback from planners is a really important to us. So anytime that we get positive feedback from the industry, that's important. And then lastly, we completely monitor the usage of it. So we have tools on the back end where we can see how much usage each hotel has with each guide, and we want to continually monitor that, and we've continued to see the usage go up. So we're really pleased with that. And we didn't want to just see a spike post-launch, people using it and then abandon. For us, it's part of that perpetual promise that we want to make sure that this is not shelfware, that the teams are using it and continue to adopt.
And yes, I mean, I'm sure that data is so important. And what kind of ongoing support do you need to put in place post-launch to ensure continued success?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we talked about training as probably the hurdle, or the learning, right? To continue to learn with the Hyatt enterprise on how to continue to inform. So we do a number of things. We offer biweekly office hours that are topical, where anybody can join on a particular topic that Hyatt sends out to the field and their teams to give them an opportunity to go on at any time. Steve mentioned we built into the system a training guide. So there's actually, when you log onto the platform, there's informational hover where it'll walk you through step by step. While we try to make it as intuitive as possible, again, there's different levels of learning. So we wanted to make sure there was verbiage in the guide itself. We did some training videos that we recorded that live in perpetuity. We offer one-on-one sessions. So we have a product enablement team that is dedicated to the field to make sure that we're out there and supporting what their feedback is, what their challenges are. So there's a lot in the post launch process that we continue to work through.
Maybe one thing I would add also, Sharon, is that once it's built, the average sales manager or event manager doesn't really have to do much with it. So it keeps it very easy for them to use. And so our education is really focused on that super user who's helped building that content. And once the managers have that link available to them, it's super easy for them to send it out to their guests.
Yeah, great point.
And Steve, looking back, what do you think made this tool different from other digital sales resources in the market?
One and only. I mean, there's I'm serious. No one has anything similar to this. I have not seen it. And again, Jeff's been around the block, worked with a lot of different companies too. This is singular right now, and we're very proud of it.
Great. So are there any other areas of event planning or the sales journey you're exploring for the future?
Yes, there are. We'll have another conversation about that at some point in the future, but we're really excited about it. So, we'll come back to you with more insight on that in a little bit.
Okay, great. And what kind of advice would you give other hospitality brands looking to streamline their sales or event experience?
Rethink everything. I like to tell my team, if it's not broke, break it, because we can always go back to what we were doing before. But if you do not continually reinvent how you do every part of this business, you're going to be in trouble. The fact of life is we don't have as many FTEs as we used to have. We're never going to have that many full-time employees. And if we don't find faster, better, smarter ways to do things, something's going to give, right? You're going to have poor service to a customer. You're not going to reply to them. You're going to have burnt out employees. So I think you just have to keep reimagining and rethinking about every part of the way you interact with customers.
From my perspective, I would just say, don't buy static tools, right? Tools that are, off the shelf and, don't evolve, right? So I would, I'm a fan of innovation. I'm a fan of that exact thought process that Steve has, right? The approach to the business, Hyatt's approach to this business. So make sure that we're constantly evolving and making things better and moving into better, faster tools.
So, thank you both of you for sharing a behind the scenes look at this project. What makes it so unique is seeing how Hyatt Hotels and Tambourine have not just built something new, but also challenged a process that the hospitality world has grown used to and made it meaningfully better for everyone involved. So congrats, it's absolutely amazing, and it's been such a pleasure learning more about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Meet the hotel industry's biggest leaders at Inspire Luxury Hospitality Conference. Back for its 16th year, Inspire 2025 is held in November in Prague and December in Las Vegas. It's the premier event for luxury hospitality. Land deals, learn strategy, and explore innovation. Visit us at inspire.ilha.org.